All right, welcome to another expert interview. Really excited for today's guest, Greg. We're going to have a conversation that's a little bit different than our traditional ones, but super impactful and super relevant. So as always, let's jump straight in. Greg, why don't you let everyone know who you are and what you do?
My name is Greg Apodaca. I'm an explorer in this new frontier called Exponential Change, and I'm also the CEO of an organization called Community 2.0. We're a for-profit organization, community benefit corporation, so we're all about saving the planet, and at the same time, it'd be nice to make some cash and do well business-wise too.
Love it, man. Well, thanks for making time. I know your event's coming up pretty quick, so I'm sure you've got a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
But I think this is a very relevant conversation. I'm glad we were able to connect.
Yeah, me too.
Let's talk trends. So what's trending in your industry, your space? What are some keywords, things people should be paying attention to?
I'm in two areas, two businesses. Number one, saving the planet, right? So the environmental challenges posed by the climate emergency. And the other business I'm in is transforming people's lives. And, the challenges in front of us are so big, they're global challenges that we need people to transform. One of the phrases that I like to say is, you don't transform the planet, you transform people and they transform the planet. So our tagline, our massive transformative purpose, I don't know if we're going to talk too much about exponential organizations here or not, but they say you need to have a purpose that's bigger than your business. So my massive transformative purpose is thriving people, creating a sustainable planet. And that's what we need to make happen. The trend right now is I think that businesses and individuals are finally waking up. 40 years of scientists telling us that global warming is happening and it's not good. That finally has come to a head. The UN IPCC report last week came out and said code red for humanity, right? Let me see that again. Code red for humanity. If that doesn't wake people up, then I don't know what will. And we need those woken up people, the early adopters is what I call them. We need to work together, right? We can't wait for those other dudes to wake up. We need to work together. We need to collaborate as the first alternative instead of a last resort. And we need to rock this world. So the trend is people are waking up and I'm convening those guys and let's make some huge impact together.
Love it, man. So let's talk small business. So if I'm a small business owner, how does this conversation relate to me and what can I do about it?
Well, Al Gore, former Vice President Al Gore wrote the Inconvenient Truth book. I guess it's got to be 15 or 20 years ago. But most recently, I heard him on a TED Talk a couple of years ago, I think, saying that the transfer from a fossil fuels driven industry to industry and economy driven by renewable energy resources, this is the largest business opportunity in history, ever in history, right? We're talking about trillions of dollars of change in infrastructure and energy sources and all that goes with that. And so for business persons, small and large, this is a great opportunity. If you can look into the future 5 or 10 years to what's going to be needed and position yourself right now, this is the time to prosper. The Biden administration, I think, is gonna pass their stimulus, and it's gonna mean a lot of cash on the ground for businesses, nonprofits, education institutions, everybody who has attuned themselves to the opportunities in the green economy. So if you're a business person, first off, you need to come to my event because it's called the Green Economy Conference and Career Match. Or if you're a career person, entry level or mid-career or executive, who hates their job and who wants to make a difference, and this is the time to switch into the green economy. So it's pertinent to everybody, but especially business persons.
I love that. So let's talk about the career side. I thought that was a really cool conversation we're having offline. There is an influx of people looking to make changes. I'm seeing it, I'm hearing it. I know people, through COVID have had to relook at what's my career, where do I want to spend my time, where do I want to have impact? So talk about what that career shift may look like when it comes to green jobs and making that move.
The future is already different, right? We've seen changes already in our lifestyles. We just bought a Roomba the other day, right? One of those little robot vacuum cleaners. I mean, we have a Labrador, right? She sheds about a fur coat of hair a day. And we just got tired of cleaning up after her. So we got this Roomba and that thing's amazing, right? You just set it and it goes around however it wants to go and it cleans your house. The point I'm making is that people in the future are going to have more time, and that because of technology, that there are things that are going to get taken care of that we used to spend time on. So those kind of technological devices are going to impact all of our society and all of our lifestyles and our work styles. So career people need to kind of clue into that. We need to learn about AI. We need to learn about virtual. We need to learn about exponential change. And how can we learn those new competencies so that we can be relevant to employers and stay relevant to employers once they hire us? So, I mean, big changes out there, right? This is no time to think like your grandma or your dad. I heard a couple of stats the other day. One was that in our lifetime these days, we're going to experience more change in 1 year than our grandparents did in their whole lifetime, right? And then a futurist I follow, Ray Kurzweil, the director of engineering at Google, all over their AI stuff, right? So this guy's an inventor on par with Thomas Edison, and he's also the most accurate predictor of the future out there. This guy's got like an 85% accuracy rate predicting the future, and he doesn't have like a crystal ball. He's just, here's the trend, let's project the trend and let's follow it. This is what's going on. So I lost my train of thought there. What the hell was I going to say?
No, but it's great. I mean, I think that, this tees up another question, because one thing, if you're not growing, you're declining. Like, there's no such thing as static, right? And I think that that's a conversation I have a lot with business owners, is like, when you're content and you settle in, even if you're in a lifestyle business, you have to move backwards, right? There's no stay, right? So not only do you need to be progressing, I think what COVID taught us is, one, you need to be agile, right? So you need to be able to look at your business and make quick decisions and move, right? As things that are outside influences impact your business. But I think what I'm hearing from you is, change has always been relevant, but now it's exponentially more relevant. So let's talk about that. I know we had talked about that other side of what you do. So what's that mean to business? Like, how should they be changing their mindset?
Right now, businesses are being disrupted. We talked a minute ago about examples like Amazon, right? Amazon has just taken over retail, right? My wife doesn't even go shopping anymore. We just have 25 delivery trucks on our dropping stuff off on our curb every day. So retail is changing. Airbnb has changed the hotel night stay business, right? They don't even own any properties, and they're the largest provider of overnight hotel stays. Uber's another great example. A taxi company that's taken over the world, and they don't own any taxis and they don't employ any drivers. So the world is being disrupted, and every aspect of society is going to be disrupted. There's a huge disconnect here, because the pace of change now is so fast that it's considered to be exponential, but people are still taught to think linearly, right? Let me just give you an example of that change in exponential thinking. So if I asked you to take 30 steps from where you are, 31 meter steps, you could easily say, okay, from me, 31 meter steps is going to put me over there on the far side of my driveway, right by that wash. But exponential change is not like linear change is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, unlike that. That's how we've been taught to think. Exponential change goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. In the beginning, it seems similar, right? 1, 2, 4, 8. But at the end, it's so different that if you take 30 exponential steps, instead of 30 meters across the driveway, you're going to be a billion meters away, a billion instead of 30. That's 26 times around the planet, right? It's hard to even conceptualize what that means, but that's the kind of change that we're looking at here. In the medical industry, they're 3D printing human skin now. In the construction business, they're 3D printing 17-story buildings. I watched a PBS documentary on the poorest of the poor neighborhoods in Mexico in the jungle, and they're 3D printing houses for these guys in the middle of the jungle. I said, what? This is crazy stuff, but it's happening right now. If you can think about your business and think about how you might want to disrupt it, and there's tools out there and books out there. We talked a minute ago about this book called Exponential Organizations. Everybody needs to read that book if you're in business. Or another book called The Future is Faster Than You Think by Peter Diamandis. Going to rock your world about what's coming down the pipe. And the truth about business is, you know what? If you don't disrupt yourself, someone else is going to disrupt your industry, and then you got to play catch up, right? It's better to do it yourself first.
I love that. I mean, if there's any value out of today, that statement right there alone has so much value. And I think that, if we're gonna take what Greg's saying and we're gonna boil that down, I think you have to understand where you're at. And this is a message I drive home all the time, is like, if you don't have a clear grasp of where your business is today, you don't understand what you're doing, what your product stack looks like, what your margins look like, where your revenue is coming in, and you're not looking to diversify or change, you're probably the runway is getting shorter, right? And to Greg's point, the runway is getting shorter faster because industries are changing. And I love that you brought up Airbnb and Uber, and one that's really hot right now is Turo, right? So the car rental industry is changing dramatically because people are renting their cars to people instead of big cars. And we saw during COVID, they ran out of rentals. So that industry has exponentially grown as well. And the common thread I see there is there's so much opportunity as an individual to generate cash flow as well. So I think that that's something to look at, is like, as an individual, not even a business owner, if you want to diversify your cash flow, there's so much opportunity to generate additional revenue streams in really unique ways that have never existed. So I think that's something we got to pay attention to as we see all these industries grow and open up.
Excellent point. Is there a question you want me, or just comment on that?
No, I just think it's interesting. Like, when you think about it all, there's just so much opportunity now, right? Like it's something you have to pay attention to. I think that, you mentioned, previous generations. And I think that when we look at that idea of, let's go to school, get a great education, get a job and stay at a job for 40 years. Like, I don't think that's the model in any way, shape, or form.
Those days are gone. Robert Kiyosaki wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad probably 20 years ago. And that book kind of rocked my world, right? You probably know that story. The short story is that when Kiyosaki was a kid, he had his best buddy. Kiyosaki's dad was I think in Hawaii, a bureaucrat in the school system over there. And their mindset is, get a safe job, work your days, retire, and you'd be okay on a pension. And his dad was an entrepreneur, and his dad, hit it big on some business idea. And Kiyosaki's thinking, wow, why would I want to do this 30-year thing and then retire on some small pension when I could make a lot of cash over here as a business person? That's true. And these days, the world is being reimagined. I mean, every aspect of the world is being reimagined right now. You can cash in on that if you have a good idea and you thought, well, somebody else already took that idea. Well, no, you put that idea on top of AI and you can rock the world with that idea, just like you could have done 30 years ago if you'd followed your dream back then. You can follow your dream now. I teach that stuff. Call me up. Let's talk about that.
I love that. And I love that idea of, taking the jump, right? I put up a post the other day and someone commented on it, said, entrepreneurship, right? Jump off the cliff and then build the parachute.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that right now. Even switching careers may feel like that, right? Like, sometimes you have to just make the jump, but now I think is the best time ever to align with things that fit your passions, fit your desires, fits the future, fit your goals. Like, all these things are available in a way they've never been available.
Yeah, I mean, these days, a woman by the name of Marie Forleo runs this online business school, B School, and she has this kind of a phrase that she says, everything is figure outable, right? If you want to know how to do anything these days, just Google it. There it is right there. The world's information is at your fingertips, literally, right? You can Google and figure out how to do anything. Who's the guy who's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks? What's that guy's name?
Cuban.
Anyway. Yeah, Mark Cuban, right? Mark Cuban, I heard him on a Success CD interview, a Success Magazine interview way back 10 years ago or so. But, when he first started out, he was selling local net, computer systems, right? And he didn't really know much about it, but he said, you don't have to be an expert. You just need to know more than the guy you're training, and that's enough to make some cash. These days, with the pace of change being so fast, I think that's more true than ever. Right. I just changed the topics of focus of my mastermind to teach about exponential change and equal lifestyles, because the world has changed. We have a 10-year window to save the planet. Hello, there's huge business opportunities right there. And people are going to be unprepared for that in the education system, in business, across the board in society. So, wow, the world is being reimagined. You can be one of those reimaginers. I am, and a huge opportunity for anybody.
I love that. So let's talk about your event that's coming up. When you explained why and the concept and what you're trying to accomplish, it's so interesting. So why don't you give us the quick spiel of the event, and then maybe we'll do some follow-up questions on that.
Yeah. So I quit my job a few years ago and said, I got to do something about the climate emergency, right? I read a book by Tom Friedman. He's famous for a book called The World is Flat, but his new book is called Thank You for Being Late. Everybody should read that. In that book, he makes a point that humanity is at a turning point, right? Scientists have told us we have 12 short years to save the planet from irreversible damage. Well, that was 2 years ago. So now we have 10 years, right? And so I'm thinking, wow, how can I mobilize people and business owners and everybody to get inspired about this, right? Scaring people, that doesn't work, right? They're going to stick their head in the ground. So what's the positive spin here? And the positive spin is that this is the biggest business opportunity in history, right? If we can change the world such that it's green instead of driven by fossil fuels, there's huge opportunity there. And I just thought I need to be part of that. And so I quit my job and started talking to as many subject matter experts as I could, and to figure out what I could bring to the table. And I said, okay, I know how to manage large scale collaboration. I know how to bring disparate groups of people together into more of like a thought leader, kind of a mindset, like a mastermind. And I said, that's it, right? Let me run this conference on the green economy. Let's talk about people's pocketbooks and their business opportunities and their way to earn a living. And so here's this conference called the Green Economy Conference and Career Match. We're going to run these every 6 months because this need's only going to get bigger as the climate emergency spreads and as the Biden administration stimulus hits the ground. The big tagline on our flyer, I'm looking at it right now, it says, the biggest business opportunity in history. Are you ready? Right? And if you're not, or you think you have more to learn about that, that's what our conference is about. We just got our keynote speaker, is a great guy named Bill Bridge, CEO of Global Green. And he's going to bring, I think, a couple of consultants that he's worked with at Deloitte and Harvard, and they're going to make the case, right? Businesses need to change because this is the future of the economy. Those of us who are working for somebody else for a living need to change into the green economy because this is where you can find passion, make a difference, and that's what it's all about. The last panel that we're going to talk about is exponential thinking. Everything that all the points I've been making now, easy to learn this stuff. And it's written up in that book, Exponential Organizations. And the people that we want to attract are the early adopters, right? We're not going to convince, the guys that are out there saying the world is black or white. No. The world is a million shades of gray, and actually more accurately, a million different colors, right? Huge opportunity now as the world is being reimagined. That's what our conference is about. And then after that, on October 16th is the conference. The day after, we're going to start to reconvene our partners and saying, what can we do together to save the planet and make some cash that we can do together that we can't do individually. I'm excited. I mean, you probably can tell I'm talking a little way too fast here, but this kind of stuff, is important to me. Bill Bridge and I were talking about bringing together leaders from 100 different cities and turning them on to the success that Exponential Organizations is having with cities around the world, because we need global change. These are not times to think small anymore. These are times to think big, bold, and let's make this happen.
And I love that in your whole message. And for those of you guys who don't know, like a lot of the interviews I do, there's a lot of background of people I'm interviewing. And this one, I mean, Greg and I got to know each other right before the interview, which is always fun too. And the two things I've already seen is, one, your passion is it's great. Like, you got me fired up. But two, what I love is that you're bridging business and a movement, right? And I think that that's where we might be seeing a gap in past initiatives, right? Is you as an individual could do this, and this. Yeah, that's great. But like, why don't we think creatively about our business and figure out, like, how do we actually adapt, monetize it, and have not only a lasting impact for our family and our legacy, but an impact on the planet as well. That resonates so well because it creates opportunity, it creates creativity, it brings people together, and there is a positive outcome. And on the process, there's so much that you can gain from it as well. So I love that concept of, like, how do we do this? What's it look like? How do you adapt what you're doing? I'm excited, man. Congrats on getting that event put together and for bringing the people together you have. It sounds like you've got great people coming. The event is in Pasadena, correct?
Yeah, Saturday, October 16th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're going to be at the Rose Bowl. It's very cool in the locker room. There's posters up on the wall there about all these past football heroes, and then you get to go take your picture by the Rose Bowl, the field in the stadium. It's a very cool place. You brought up something that's interesting to me. This guy, Paul Hawken, wrote a book called Drawdown. The short story is, years ago, he got interested in the climate change, said, where's the book on how to do what we need to do to save the planet? Everybody said, there's no book, you need to write it. So he did it. He wrote this book called Drawdown, and 100 Ways to Save the Planet. Everybody should read that book. But one quote, and I'm going to look over here if you don't mind, because I want to read you this quote from it, because it's inspiring to me. In the book, it says, if we can change the preposition and consider that global warming is happening for us, an atmospheric transformation that inspires us to change and reimagine everything we do, then we begin to live in a different world. Then we take 100% responsibility and stop blaming others. We see global warming not as an inevitability, but as an invitation to build, innovate, affect change, a pathway that awakens creativity, compassion, and genius. I thought, wow, dude, that guy nailed it, right? That guy is saying, hey, the universe is saying, hey, humanity, wake up, right? If I was there, I would slap you right now. You're burning the damn planet up. What are you doing? This is the only home you have. There's no planet B. So here it is. If you've been waiting for a sign to change your life, this is it. This is it. How much of a sign do you need, right? This is the time to change your life, to redirect your business, to redirect your life, to find passion, to bring your full talent and interest to the table, to save humanity, save yourself, save your kids, your elderly parents. This is it, man. This is the wake-up call.
I love that. And that quote's great because, I mean, it relates to, let's not look at it from a fear mindset. Let's look at it from an opportunity mindset.
Yeah.
And that to me is fresh as well. Like, I like that message because that's inspirational, right? Yeah. And that motivates us to want to look at, like, well, what are we doing? What could we be doing? And again, if we can attach some dollars to it, like, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. Most of my clients are entrepreneurs. Like, guys, there's opportunity here.
Huge,
and you mentioned opportunity, you mentioned AI, you mentioned technology. All these things have huge advantages on freeing up time and capacity, and again, having huge future impact.
Yeah. I read an article from the Wharton School. They made it pretty clear to me what we need to do. And it's pretty simple. Climate change is 3 issues. Number 1, we need to wake people up, right? It's a marketing challenge. It's the mother of all marketing challenges. We need to convince the planet that the climate emergency is real and they need to get active in there. Second, it's a culture change issue. We need people to change their lifestyles, right? I just gave up my car the other day. I was driving a little Porsche convertible, and I'm thinking, I'm an environmentalist. I got to get rid of this gas guzzler car. I hate that, right? I mean, I see Porsches driving down the street. I said, my God, what did I do? But you know what? We don't need 2 cars in our family. We have Uber. We still have an SUV. Things are good. So we need the people to change their lifestyles, quit using so many damn single-use plastics. There's these refill stores around now, so you can take your empty shampoo bottle and go refill it, right? We save our empty wine bottles, and we drink some wine over here. We save our empty wine bottles and go fill them up with shampoo and dish soap and all stuff like that. But we need to change our lifestyles. Corporations need to change their practices. Governments need to change their policies. And then the third point is that we need monumental change. We cannot keep thinking that in America, we're taught capitalism, we're taught to compete against each other. We need to start competing with each other to save the planet. Governments, businesses, individuals, we all need to work together. There's huge opportunity here. The whole world has to change itself dramatically. And that's just, the world's biggest problems are also the world's biggest business opportunities. People can just clue into that and go do what you're here to do. I mentioned this book called Exponential Organizations, and the founder of that group, Salim Ismail, was explaining his concept to a bunch of futurists and leaders in Silicon Valley. And in that group was this guy, Tony Robbins. Everybody knows Tony's this big business coach, right? And Tony Robbins, after the talk, goes up to Salim and says, Salim, some of us in the world are concerned about the planet and the way we're going. And, if you really think you can do what you're talking about here about transforming civilization, and you need to do that. And Salim stepped there for a minute and he just realized, he said, okay, what I can do, I must do, right? For me to step up, I've been waiting for the sign to step up. Here's the sign. I need to step up and do what I can do to save the planet. And that just inspired the hell out of me. And I mean, that's the way I like to think too. So here I am stepping up my game too.
I love it. So last thing we'll talk about, and then I'll give you the last 2 questions I always ask everybody is, I think you brought up something prior to us hopping on and just then that I think is really interesting when we boil that back down to business. I always preach to people that competition, I hate the word competition. I don't even like it. I like to call my competitors partners in awareness.
Yeah.
Because they're on the same mission. They're preaching the same thing. Yes, you may do it better. Yes, you may not agree with how they do it. But at the end of the day, they are moving your industry in a direction because they are participating in it. Yeah. And I have always found, and it's an exercise I challenge any one of you to do who's in business, you should go out and meet every one of your competitors in your marketplace or industry that you actually respect and think you're competing against. Go meet them. Go sit down and ask them questions. What are they doing? Who's their ideal client? Who do they want to work with? Because what you're going to find is that their actual ideal client, who they want to work with and who they're impacting, is slightly different than you.
Right.
And that slight difference allows you to add value to your network, because when you come across someone who's not a fit, instead of saying, no, thank you, or this isn't going to work, you can tee them up to the exact fit for a company for them, add value to your relationship, add value to a competitor, and you look amazing. Right. So why would we not collaborate instead of compete? Right. So I just want to drive that message home, because I think when you said that and you look at it from a country dynamic in a bigger level, like, I love that. I love the idea of like, how do we come together and move things instead of trying to bury each other?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I used to teach an exercise where people would, from different organizations on 2 different flip charts, would put, okay, here's 3 services I have to offer over here and three needs I have to grow my business. And everybody would do that. And then I would just take a marker and say, okay, you offer this service and that can fill this person's need. And that guy offers this service and he fills your need. You know, we don't even think about collaboration because we're taught in this society that we need to compete against each other instead of competing with each other. You know, and that's just driven into our heads. We don't think about what we can do collectively. I told you earlier that I just started a mastermind. It's the 9th one that I'm running. And I gave an example of that. I said, you know, let's just imagine that there's this 400-pound barbell here in the room, right? Raise your hand if you think you can pick that up. Nobody raised their hand. I said, why not? You know, there's 8 people in this room here. If everybody stands down and works together, everybody can lift 50 pounds easily, but nobody thinks about what we can do collectively. We only think about what we can do individually. And I said, that's the point. That's the wrong thing. In this mastermind, 8 heads are better than 1. We need to use the collective expertise, experience, and contacts of everybody to reach our individual goals. That's the way forward.
Oh, all right. Well, so there's going to be a part 2. You guys just pay attention to that. Because masterminds, we could probably have a whole half-hour conversation just on the value of masterminds and collaboration. That last quote that you just said, I mean, I think that's the key. Like, if you're not, 1, elevating your personal sphere of influence, and 2, looking for a way to plug into people who are chasing something that you're chasing, whether that's in the same industry or just someone who's moving ahead, like, that's where you're going to see that growth, right? You're going to have those conversations that are going to stress you. You're also going to have a safe place where you can come in and be open and honest and get that feedback that you're looking for that maybe your current sphere can't give you. So I love masterminds. I love that you're running them. I can't wait to hear some success stories out of there, because I'm sure you've seen some amazing stuff.
Yeah, you know, and part of the masterminds that I run is also a vision retreat. Peter Senge is a theorist over at MIT, and he says that, you know, once you have a written vision for your success in the future, then you can act from the future instead of acting from the limiting beliefs in the past, right? You know, my background is a Mexican American, and I remember my grandma telling me one time when I was a kid, I was watching this old school TV show called Beverly Hillbillies. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but all these rich people. And I said, Grandma, I want to have, you know, whatever they were showing on TV. And she said in Spanish to me, you know, somos pobres, right? We're the poor people. It's not our lot in life to have what the rich people have. And so she planted this, you know, poverty mindset in my head. You know, this is the woman who loves me more than anybody in the world, trying to clue me in. Look, kid, this is how the world is, right? Don't get those big damn ideas in your head. You're going to be disappointed. It took me a long time to bust out of that thinking. But now my thinking is the opposite. I teach people to write a beautiful vision for their lives. You know, make it beautiful, make it smell good, make it, you know, aim for the car that you want. You know, I'd love to have this Ferrari, and, you know, and I just saw this Bentley the other day. Oh my God, it was so cool. But anyway, and I want to have a winery up in Mendocino, California. I mean, I have a long list of dreams. But when you write that vision for your success and you read that thing every day, wow, that's inspirational. I just, you know, noodled on my executive summary for this new organization, and it went from negative to positive and beautiful. I read my executive summary for inspiration every day. How crazy is that? But when you go into life inspired, you're going to rock the world, right? I seek inspiration every day. I seek to inspire other people every day, because you can just see them light up and go for it. And that's what my masterminds are about. And the Vision Retreat is a big part of that, because people need to think their dreams are important. And then you go from I have people tell me all the time, oh yeah, Greg, I don't have a vision. I don't have a dream. You know what? That's BS. Every time you're bored at work and you look out the window and you're dreaming of something bigger, that's your dream. Go for that. Go make that life happen. That's what we need to teach people, right? We need to rock the education system too, because that's what we need to be teaching people.
I love that. And so behind me, I switched my background out for those of you who watched previous videos, right? This is the new course I just launched, Align Your Way to Success. And one of the questions I'm going to ask you in there is, if you had unlimited time and unlimited money, what would you do and why? And I asked that question for exactly what Greg just mentioned, right? Like, I want you to think without limit, because I think in that moment, that's where we actually get back to that passion, the thing that drives us. So, I love that. I love that challenge. So let's get to the last two questions and wrap up. So first, I always ask for a book recommendation. So you've mentioned quite a few books. Is there one that you think everybody should read first?
Wow, that's toughy. It's like a laundry list. If you're into the future, read Diamandis's book, The Future is Faster Than You Think. If you're into businesses, read Exponential Organizations. Those are the two I would recommend highly. If you're into more general societal stuff, read Tom Friedman's book, Thank You for Being Late.
Awesome. And last, on your own personal journey as you've grown as a professional and individual, what's something you wish you'd learned earlier or done different?
Man, that's another laundry list there. I made a lot of mistakes, man. Chasing parties for 20 years of my life, that was pretty much wasted. I wish I would have learned about purpose earlier in life. I wish I would have learned about abundance and abundance thinking instead of scarcity thinking. I grew up in my youth, thinking that the man was out to get me and life wasn't fair, screw everybody else. And wow, what a waste of 40 years. I didn't find my stride till I was about 40 years old, and I was in the Junior Chamber of Commerce looking to meet girls. Maybe I was 30. And luckily, this group taught me about volunteer service and service to humanity, and that service to humanity is the best work in life. And that's what I think now. I'm bringing myself to the plate to help humanity, and we need everybody to think that way, because there's no planet B, and there's only one race, and it's the human race. And we need to go out there and take care of each other and take care of ourselves at the same time.
Love it. Well, Greg, thank you for taking the time, man. I appreciate all the different conversations we've had. I look forward to diving into this more. Below this video, you'll see links to everything Greg's mentioned today, from the books to his upcoming event to different ways to connect with Greg. As always, please comment, give us a like, and then make sure you subscribe to the channel, push the little bell. Videos are coming out every week, just like this, educational conversations, and we look forward to the next one. So Greg, thank you for your time.
Devin, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to becoming friends with you, buddy.
Thanks, man.